Hello friends, in the last video we have seen how to calculate average velocity, and we have also seen how to calculate instantaneous velocity of an object when this object is moving in two dimensions, that is if the object is moving in a two-dimensional plane. Now in this video we will see how to calculate acceleration vector. Now the first question is, what is acceleration? So acceleration basically describes changes in particles' velocity. Now velocity is a vector quantity. It has magnitude and it also has direction. So when I say change in velocity, this means it can change in magnitude or it can change in direction. So when there is a change in velocity vector, then we say there is a acceleration. Now three possibilities are there. The magnitude of velocity can change, or direction of velocity can change, or magnitude as well as direction both can change. So in all these situations we will say that body is accelerating. So if the speed increases, generally we call this as an accelerating object, and if a speed decreases with time, we call this as a decelerating object. So in short we can say acceleration describes how the velocity of the particle changes with time. To discuss further, let us consider a moving car, and this is the car, and this car initially, let's say this is the position of the car at t is equals to t1, and this car is moving with a velocity v1. So velocity has a magnitude as well as direction. So direction is shown, and this is the direction of velocity when the particle is at point p1. Now see, this particle is moving in a curved path. So this car is moving in this curve. So after some point of time, this car has reached to this point, that is point number P2, and the velocity direction has changed. Initially the direction of velocity was in this direction. Now the velocity direction is in this direction. So there is a change in the direction of velocity because this is moving on a curve, and curve is changing the path, so velocity direction is also changing. We can also think of this car is changing its magnitude of velocity also. So magnitude of velocity is also changing as well as direction is changing. So this is an accelerating car. So we can say this car accelerates by slowing while rounding a curve. Its instantaneous velocity changes in both magnitude and direction. So this car is trying to take a turn on this curved path. So this is trying to slow down. So its velocity, magnitude, that is basically speed, and direction of velocity both are changing. So this is an accelerating car. We can say instantaneous velocity, magnitude and direction both are changing. Now to derive some mathematical expression, we will do the same thing in a different graph. So this figure, the same figure, so this is the curved path we have in which this car is moving, and this is point P1 where this is the direction of velocity, and this is point P2 where this is the direction of velocity. Now if you remember, there is a rule that you can translate or freely move a vector parallel to its initial position. So what we are doing is, this is initial vector v1, so we are basically translating this vector v1. So this vector has translated, and now finally, so this is after translation. So finally this is the position of vector v1. So this is vector v1 after the translation. Now similar thing I can also do for v2. So I have to basically translate v2 parallel to its initial direction. So let's make this line and this line that is perpendicular to V2, and then translate V2 in this direction. So this is the translation in which direction we are translating to V2. So finally, if I translate this, I will have V2 somewhere here. So now we have translated V1 and V2. This means now this is the position of V1 and this is the position of V2 after the translation. Important point, when we are translating the two vectors, we are trying to merge the tail part of the two vectors at the same point. So we have translated and we try to merge the tail so that the tail remains at the same point. So this is my vector V1 and this is my vector V2. Now this vector that is joining V1 and V2 is basically change in velocity vector, that is delta V. We can calculate this vector basically. So let's call this vector as delta V. So we can write in this triangle V1 plus delta V is equals to V2. That is the rule of vector, triangle law. So if I use triangle law, I can write V1 plus, V1 is a vector, delta V is a vector, V1 plus delta V is equals to V2. So from here I can write delta V is nothing but V2 minus vector V1. So this is what here I have, that is V2 minus V1, vector V2 minus vector V1 denotes the change in the velocity vector. So you see how we calculated change in the velocity vector. So first I freely translated vector V1, translated vector V2 so that the tail coincides, and once I have the coincidence of tail, what we can do is we can make the third vector, that is delta V. So this is the third vector that we are making, and then we can use triangle law and we can calculate magnitude of delta V. So in this case, magnitude of delta V, that is change in the velocity vector. It includes the direction change, it includes the magnitude change, because this is a velocity vector, change in the velocity vector. So this is equals to V2 minus V1. Now if I divide change in velocity vector delta V with time, I will get acceleration. Now which time I should take? I can take time interval, that is t1 to t2, and in that case we will calculate average acceleration. If this time interval is very small, in that case we are calculating the instantaneous velocity or instantaneous acceleration. So let us first define average acceleration. So average acceleration is defined as change in velocity vector divided by time interval, that is delta V. So I can define average acceleration. So this is average acceleration is equals to change in velocity vector divided by time interval delta t. As I said, delta V is nothing but V2 minus V1. So I can write V2 minus V1, and change in time, this is T2 minus T1. So I can write velocity vector A average is equals to V2 minus V1 divided by T2 minus T1. That is same as delta V divided by delta T. So this is the average acceleration vector. Important point, this vector, average acceleration vector, is a vector. It's not a scalar quantity. If you see this term can be thought as 1 by delta t multiplied by delta v. So this is a vector quantity, and this vector quantity is multiplied by some scalar number. 1 by delta t is nothing but a number. So direction of average acceleration is same as direction of change in the velocity vector. This I can further illustrate using this diagram. So this is the same diagram that I showed just. So this is position at time t1, this is position of car at time t2, and this is the velocity vector at time t1, and this is the velocity vector at time t2. And as I said, I can translate this vector and I will have v1 vector. Similarly, I can translate this vector and I will have v2 vector, and this is basically change in velocity vector, that is v2 minus v1. So see, what is the direction of change in velocity vector? So this is towards the center of this curve. So if you consider this curve, so center of this curve will be somewhere this side, that is inside. So the direction of velocity vector or change in velocity vector in this case is towards the center of this curve. So, and also the average acceleration will be in the same direction. So this is the direction. So this is the direction of change in velocity vector, and this is the direction of average vector, average acceleration vector. Because average acceleration is nothing but delta v divided by delta t, and the direction of average acceleration is same as change in velocity vector. So we can say average acceleration is a vector quantity in the same direction as the vector delta v. So average acceleration has same direction, that is the change in velocity vector. Now we have written expression for average acceleration, a general average expression. Can you write same thing only for x direction? So you have to write expression for average acceleration when object is moving in x direction, that is a straight line, only 1D motion. So in that case I can write average acceleration in the x direction is equals to change in velocity in the x direction divided by delta t. Similarly, you can write average acceleration in the y direction, z direction, and then you can basically all club together, then you can get the average acceleration in terms of Cartesian coordinate. Now next concept we have instantaneous acceleration. So what is instantaneous acceleration? So when we say instantaneous acceleration, the meaning of this word, that is acceleration at an instant, that is instantaneous acceleration. So this is a special case or limiting case of average acceleration. So if you take time t1 and t2 very close to each other, then we can define instantaneous acceleration. So this is instantaneous acceleration. A is a vector quantity at point p1 as the limit of average acceleration vector when point p2 approaches point p1, so delta v and delta t both approaches to 0. So let us try to illustrate this. First we'll illustrate for a curved path, and then we will illustrate for a straight line path. So how we can calculate instantaneous acceleration when the object is moving in a curved path. So this is the same car that is moving in this curved path at point p1. So this is point p1. This is the velocity vector. In this case, velocity vector is v1. At point p2, this is the velocity vector, that is v2. So these two are instantaneous velocity at point p1 and point p2. What is my target? My target is to calculate instantaneous acceleration. So as I said, if I want to calculate instantaneous acceleration, what I have to do is I have to shift p2 towards p1 so that the distance between p2 and p1 is very small. Or in other words, time interval between two instants is very small. So what we do is we take limit of average acceleration when delta t goes to 0, and this can be written here. So instantaneous acceleration is equals to limiting case of delta v by delta t, that is average acceleration, when delta t tends to 0. So when delta t tends to 0, the average acceleration basically gives the instantaneous acceleration, and instantaneous acceleration is written as simply dv by dt. So we have, when we have delta t very small, that goes to 0, delta v by delta t we can write as dv by dt, something like this. So now I can use calculus to differentiate the v function and I can get the instantaneous acceleration. So what will happen if you move P2 to P1? Basically, in that case, average acceleration will reach to instantaneous acceleration. So we take limit of average acceleration as P2 approaches to P1. So P2 is approaching to P1, and in this case, whatever with the value of average acceleration, we'll call this as a instantaneous acceleration. And if you remember, the direction is towards the center, so this will be the direction of average acceleration, and when this reaches to 0, this time interval reaches to 0, this will also be direction of instantaneous acceleration. So this means that if delta v and delta t approaches to 0, we can say instantaneous acceleration is equals to limiting case of delta v by delta t when delta t goes to 0, and we will write simply dv by dt. Important point in this case, acceleration point to the concave side of the path. So this is towards the center, towards the inner side of the curve. So whenever we have a curved surface, so motion is happening along a curved path. In that case, acceleration vector or instantaneous acceleration vector point towards the concave side of the path. That is towards the inside of any turn that the particle is making. So if it is making any turn, then the acceleration vector is towards the inside of that turn. So this is when the object is moving in a curved path. So we can calculate acceleration vector or instantaneous acceleration vector when the object is moving on a curved path. Now similarly, if the object is moving in a straight line path, we can calculate the acceleration vector. So next situation, when the object is moving in a straight line trajectory. Same thing, this point P1, this is a car at time T1, velocity is V1, and this is along this. So this is the path on which this car is moving. So straight line. After some time, this is P2 and corresponding velocity is V2, and this is along the straight line. So you see, in this case, the direction of velocity is constant. It's always along the straight line. Initially, this is in the straight line, and finally this is also in the same direction. So if I take the change in velocity vector, it will only change in magnitude. It will not change in direction. So when I calculate instantaneous acceleration, the direction of instantaneous acceleration is along the direction of motion, that is along the straight line. For example, in this case, V2 is in this direction, V1 is in this direction, so delta V will be in this direction. And similarly, acceleration will also be in this direction, because instantaneous acceleration is nothing but a scalar multiplication of change in velocity vector and when delta t goes to 0. So acceleration vector will have same direction as the change in velocity vector. So in this case, when the object is moving in a straight line, we will have change in velocity vector, and instantaneous acceleration all along the straight line, all along the path, all along the trajectory, and in this case trajectory is a straight line. So if you have a curved motion, acceleration vector will be towards the inside, towards the center, but if you have a straight line, it will be along the straight line. So instantaneous vector can change its direction depending upon what kind of path you have. If you have a curved path, it will be inside the curve. If you have a straight line, it will towards the straight line. So acceleration vector may or may not be tangent path. So it can be tangent. For example, in case of a straight line motion, we can say the acceleration vector is tangent to the path. But when you have a curve, in that case acceleration vector is not tangent at the path. It's in contrast to the velocity. So when you calculate average velocity is tangent to the path. Instantaneous velocity is tangent to the path. Not the average velocity is tangent to the path. Instantaneous velocity is tangent to the path. But here, instantaneous acceleration can be tangent to the path or it may not be tangent to the path, depending upon in what kind of curve or in what kind of trajectory the motion is taking place. So instantaneous vector is an important concept. So when you are using instantaneous acceleration, generally when we say acceleration, this means instantaneous acceleration. So we never use average acceleration. Generally we use instantaneous acceleration. So when we are saying instantaneous acceleration term, this means instantaneous acceleration. Now how we can write instantaneous acceleration in Cartesian coordinate? So we'll see how we can write instantaneous acceleration in Cartesian coordinate. So as I said, I can write acceleration is equals to dv by dt. So acceleration is nothing but dv by dt and v is the velocity. Now I can write velocity something like this: vx I cap plus v by z cap plus vz k cap. That is, in Cartesian coordinate I can write velocity something like this. Now if I take differentiation of velocity, I will get the instantaneous acceleration. So let us take differentiation of this. So if I take differentiation of this will be dy dt of vxi plus vyz plus vzk. Now we can take differentiation of each term separately. So what I will do is I will write dy dt of vx and this constant term I, so there is no point of taking the differentiation, so I can take outside. Similarly dv by dt, and then I have to multiply by the unit vector z, and this is dvz by dt, and this is unit vector k. Now once I know this acceleration, I can basically equate. Acceleration will also have three components: ax component, a y component and az component. So this is what? So this is acceleration. I can write acceleration has three components: ax I cap, ay z cap, az k cap. Now this will be equals to dvx by dt. So here I have dt, and this is I cap dvy by dt, and this is j cap and dvz by dt, and then we have k cap. Now we can equate I cap this side and I cap this side. So this is ax and this is dvx over dt. Similarly I can equate ay and az, and then in that case I will get these three different expressions. So this basically says how we can calculate three components of acceleration, that is ax, ay and az. Simply I have to differentiate the x component of velocity vector, y component of velocity vector and z component of velocity vector. So if I want to calculate the component of acceleration, I have to differentiate the component of velocity vector. Acceleration is also related to displacement, or you can say position vector. So I can write, if you remember, I can write, first let us write velocity. So if you remember velocity, I can write, this is nothing but differentiation of position vector, and this is instantaneous velocity, and this I can write r is nothing but x I cap by z cap and z k cap, this divided by dt. So I can write velocity is equals to dx by dt I cap dy by dt z cap plus dz by dt k cap. So now I know expression for velocity. So vx I can equate, because I can write v is equals to vxi plus vyz plus vzk, and then if I equate, then I can get Vx is nothing but dx by dt, and Vy is nothing but dy by dt, and Vz is nothing but dz by dt. And what is my acceleration? So if you remember, the x acceleration is here, that is dvx by dt. So if I take differentiation of this term, I will get acceleration in the x direction. So if you take differentiation of this, what will happen? X direction acceleration ax is nothing but dvx by dt, but vx is what? Vx is nothing but dx by dt. So Vx is nothing but dx by dt. So I have to differentiate x first time, and then I have to differentiate it again. So I can write simply d2x by dt square. So now I have an expression in which acceleration is directly related to position vector, in this case only x direction. So we can write ax is equals to d2x by dt square. If I do the same thing for other components, I can write ax is equals to d2x by dt square, ay is equals to dt by dt square, and similarly I can write expression for az. And if I know the components of acceleration, I can write the resultant acceleration. So what is resultant acceleration? So resultant acceleration is axi cap ayz cap plus az k cap. So if I put the value here, this one, and this one, so ax is nothing but d2x by dt square. Similarly ay and az, I get an expression of instantaneous acceleration in terms of different components, that is x component, y component, and z component. So in this video we have seen what is average acceleration and how this is related to instantaneous acceleration. Basically, instantaneous acceleration is a special case of average acceleration when delta t goes to 0 or the 2 points are very close to each other. P1, P2 are very close to each other. In that case, we can define limiting case of average acceleration is equals to instantaneous acceleration. We also said the direction of instantaneous acceleration may be tangent to the trajectory or may not be tangent to the trajectory. This is in contrast to the velocity vector, instantaneous velocity vector. Instantaneous velocity vector is always tangent to the trajectory, but instantaneous acceleration is not like that. Now we also said how to write expression for instantaneous acceleration in Cartesian coordinate, and in that case you have to write a is equals to axi plus a by z plus azk. And finally we related the acceleration vector with position vector, and we said if you take the double derivative of the position vector, then it gives you the instantaneous acceleration vector. In one direction, you can say simply d2x by dt square is equals to ax. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like this, please share with your friends. Thank you.